Testing. Yeah. Test. Are you hearing me? I think, yeah.
Hello? Yeah, it's working. Welcome, everyone. We're going to get started because we have quite a few images tonight. So let me get out of the way our announcements first. Upcoming meetings, July 7th. Next Friday is our first competition of the 2023-2024 season. It'll be a people competition, projection. Deadline is on the website, usually the Wednesday before, the week before the competition. That's set. July 14th is going to be an interesting Zoom lecture. Eric Sade, My Journey into Photography. He is a commercial photographer and a travel photographer who has quite an extensive body of work. But what's very interesting about him is he had a lot of kind of learning impediments and problems just growing up, which he used photography to kind of help him through this and work through. So his story is a very interesting one, as well as his work. That's July 14th. July 21st, now that we're full into the competition season, it's our second competition, which will be nature and also a projection competition. Before that one, we are going to start the competition after our lecture with introduction to Topaz Photo AI with our own Gary Wood from the club here as well. So Gary will talk to us on Topaz Photo AI, and then we will have the competition then afterwards. And again, in this discussion and everything that we're having about AI and whatnot too, this is, I think, really going to be worth it because we talked about Photoshop Beta, a lot of the other programs using or incorporating AI, and Topaz, again, has jumped full bore into this. SIG meeting, again, we're passing in July because it falls on the July 4th weekend. So August 3rd, black and white photography with Dave. And Dave's going to talk about tips on special techniques, exposure, creating images with impact, an excellent presentation, and then we're going to break off into camera-specific groups, as we usually do. Any pictures sitting out there, now that our website is going full blast? If you were to Back to the Wilds, send me your pictures. Same thing with The Wilds. If you have any photos out there, any fellow club members getting eaten by the giraffe, send it in. We need it. The fireworks boat cruise is sold out at this point, unfortunately, but it is good because we are starting to really get our field trips into full swing. There are a lot coming up again, so I urge you to sign up early for these. Today's field trip to Nelson Kennedy Ledges, after much discussion, was rescheduled due to the air quality concerns. We didn't know just what it was going to be like today, and it turns out not to be the greatest today. Tomorrow will be better, so that was scheduled to July 15th. Announcements, our portraiture and lighting course. We're doing this as a one-time course with John Soraya. It was extremely popular when we did this before COVID in the past. John is going to give a 3-day course on portraiture and lighting, limited to 15 students. We're going to have models present, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. each day. Fee is $150, and you could sign up on the CPS website under our schools page. There is a page for the portraiture and lighting course. And we're in the summer, our summer virtual course, Fundamentals of Good Photography. Anyone who wanted to get a jump start on this all virtual course, don't worry about the hands-on portion. Once you enroll, you're a student for life. So that means in the fall or winter classes, you can just come in for free and do any of the hands-on portion or anything you you feel like. So a way to, again, jumpstart over the summer. And our new website is up and running. I urge you all to get on, get your passwords. Those of you at home too, get your passwords, sign up so you can get into our member portal, renew. We are going to have a video up we're going to be sending out too on just how to use some of the features of the website in terms of member sign up and member renewal. And we will get that sent out too. But with this, in the membership section is our membership portal, members only portal, where our last 2.5 years worth of Zoom videos are kept for the members. So sign up, use your password or reset your password. If there's any questions about this, email us at our usual info@clevelandphoto.org, and we will deem to answer your questions if you're having problems getting onto the website. And all of our meetings, again, our public meetings are on our YouTube channel. Just go to the icon, which is that icon right there is the YouTube icon. Click on that, and when you get to the YouTube page, click on the live section, and all of our lectures will be there, including tonight. So, without further ado, tonight is our critique night. We had a lot of responses. We have 23 people, we have 70 images. What we're going to do to guarantee everyone their images, I am going to start off with 2. Everyone sent in 3. We're going to do 2 of everybody's, and then at the end, we'll go back and do the third one. So this one, if we run tight for time or something, everyone at least gets in. So we'll do that. And they are in alphabetical order by first name, because that's how Microsoft does it as well. And what Microsoft wants, Microsoft gets. Our people tonight who are going to be critiquing our club members who were nice enough to come back, did a great job last time. We have Coleman Rosenberg and we have Chris Bosworth, are both going to be commenting on our images and the images as well. We are going to be in real-time editing if something needs to be done on that as well. So without any further ado, Coleman and Chris will get started. I will bring up the images, and the first 2 are going to be for Amy. I did late. Okay.
This is a really creative, abstract-looking photo done by zooming while the shutter is opened, and that's a really cool effect. I did it years ago and got some really neat photos myself with it, but mine were less abstract than this, and this I really like. It's I don't know that I would really do anything differently. Maybe crop in just a little bit on both sides, but then you lose some of that nice zoom effect. So I'm not sure I would even do that. I think it looks pretty cool.
Amy, the question was what the ISO was.
Yeah, we'd go back.
We can go to, that's right. We can look, ISO 100. ISO 100, a 3-second exposure. So yeah, with the time, nice to be able to get away with an 18 millimeter lens. That's 6.3. Very nice.
Yeah, I think that's a technique, by the way, people should try. I don't think a lot of people know about it, but if you have your camera on a tripod and you have a several second exposure, you can zoom while the shutter's open and get this kind of effect. It's a lot of fun.
And one comment, we're going to try to each comment only on one, but one suggestion, especially for our projection competitions that I try to remember to do, is to put a white stroke. You can do it in Lightroom, for certainly in Photoshop, because when these things get projected, at least here in a club room, you don't know where the edge of the image is. So if you put a white stroke around it, then you can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's called stroke. It's called stroke in Photoshop. Okay, I'm scared.
Okay, that's the,
This is great image. It really works. It fits so well because the sky matches with the rest of the image, and obviously a really goth looking thing, and the Squire's Castle just fits that perfectly. Again, I'm with Coleman like the last one. I don't know that there's anything different that I would have done. It looks like you've got a full range, which you always want to look for in black and white. You've got a full range from jet black to a pure white. So yeah, I don't know that I could have done anything differently. It's good.
yeah, and I like the fact this is taken from that perspective.
That low,
You could have
yeah.
just easily, from the low perspective,
Yeah.
really adds that menacing look.
Yeah,
Most
what-
people would have just taken this straight on with the
What-
castle and back.
Yeah, one thing you could have done maybe is moved a little bit so that the tower isn't competing with his head so much, but it's easy to be a Monday morning quarterback on that.
Andrew Gurai? Is Andrew here? There, oh, should have recognized you. Okay. Your first shot.
Another nice shot of this owl. It's sometimes tricky to they're made to be camouflaged, and often they sort of blend in with the tree bark, but this one nicely stands out. The eyes are up in the top, sort of one of the key spots for the rule of thirds, which works out nicely. There's a little bit of, I guess that's lens flare, maybe up here. That's cutting back on the contrast there a little bit. I guess if there were anything I might have done differently, I don't know if this has been cropped for some reason or not, but I would have tried to have had the tail of the owl in the photo as well. But again, don't know what the situation was.
Yeah, Andrew, was the tail was there something there, or?
I took the picture, the tail was cut off,
Okay,
so I really didn't crop it out. So.
yeah.
Oh, so when it was actually taken, it was cropped?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, okay.
I thought it was kind of cool how it blended in with the bark.
Yeah. No, that's great, but it's an interesting point too, is that one of the things that I learned the hard way as well too, is I try not to, I plan on cropping on a lot of my images too, and I try not to just get the perfect crop or something in camera, because sometimes if you're too close, you lose certain things or don't have enough room. Whereas if you get it so it's kind of smaller in the picture, you have room to crop it the way you want.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's nothing you could do about it.
I generally do that too. Shoot a little wider and then crop in. But
I just have a quick question. What are some ways to reduce the lens flare?
Lens hood is really the best way. And if you don't have a hood on, use your hand.
yeah, you can hold.
Yeah, the
your
question
hand.
was ways to reduce the lens flare. Yeah, but if you don't have the lens, because this is the sun coming in from the side, if you don't have the lens hood, as Coleman said, you just stick your hand there as
Your
well.
hand or a hat or something. Just try not to get it in the frame.
Wow, there's some action going on here that I can't quite figure out. Exposure's really good. Canadian geese are usually pretty docile unless they're protecting their young, let you get up on them like that. It looks like there's reasonable good sharpness from the nose to the tail feathers. Tail might be a little bit soft. The background kind of troubles me. I don't know if it was dropped in or is that water we're seeing in the background moving? What was
It
going on
looks like the
there?
water, is it? You didn't put anything in the back, that's just the water, the lake?
Ice?
Is it?
I did drop that background, and what I did was it was in water. water was real murky and green,
Mm-hmm.
so I had played with it a little bit. And I thought this was kind of cool to look like you're sitting on ice.
It does look like
Back when
ice.
I hit the corner, there was a lot of algae in it, there was poop in it.
Mm-hmm.
I liked the picture of the goose, but I didn't like the background.
Yeah.
You might add a little bit of a vignette to it, though, to darken the corners a little bit.
What's that?
Maybe think about adding a dark vignette
Yeah.
to darken the corners a little bit, to bring your eye in,
One thing
in
you
more
could
to the
look
goose.
at, which kind of gives away, and I should say this, if the look at his back, you see water droplets, which doesn't make sense if he's sitting on ice.
Could be snow.
Yeah, it could be snow.
So I don't know if anybody picked it up, but there's water droplets on his back.
Yeah, I thought it was snow.
But I didn't like the picture of the goose, I just didn't like the background, so.
Yeah.
Richard Adler's advanced Photoshop, I picked up a few.
Yeah,
tips.
this was, yes, this brings up that whole area that we've spent so much time talking about, where you had a perfect capture here, the goose, the subject, and everything. There was nothing you could do about the background, so you either have no shot or try to just take those distracting things out. So, no, you've got me on your side. As the only one.
Barbara.
Yeah, this is Barbara's, okay, lighthouse.
Is it my turn?
Yeah.
Okay. Marblehead Lighthouse, and a nice perspective on it from, I guess that's from out in the water. The sky is very, very bright, and the lighthouse is a little underexposed, I guess you could say, as well as the trees, so.
And I wasn't sure what to do about it.
Yeah, okay, well, there, you can bring, in Lightroom or Photoshop, you can bring up the shadows, which Richard did there, was even more so, and bring down the highlights, and maybe bring down the white, well, that would bring down the lighthouse as well, I guess, so. Yeah, that's better.
Yeah, a lot of the adjustments we make here, are just down and dirty real quick. But if you were to work and spend more time, you could do things a little more locally and whatnot. But this gives you an idea, kind of because that's the best the camera could do. The sky is extremely
Right,
bright.
right.
It's dark there. So that's not a problem with the camera or your picking exposure or anything. But then in post-processing,
Yeah. Spot metering might have worked.
spot meter, that's a good point, but if you spot meter on the lighthouse or the trees, you would get a good exposure for that, but then blow out the sky.
Yeah.
If you look at the histogram, you almost filled the space on the highs, the lights and the darks. You pretty much did all you could do.
Yeah. If you're using Lightroom or Photoshop these days, a few months ago they introduced these new masking tools in Lightroom and in Camera Raw in Photoshop that give you incredible ability to work on local areas. Like once you get to that point, you could put a mask over the water and maybe add detail to the water, cut the brightness on it. You could go up and mask the sky and bring it down even further without affecting the rest of the image and so on. So if you're into the editing with Photoshop or Lightroom, oh yeah, you can do that too. That's pretty.
But
That's
we're not
pretty
going to
easy.
open up that whole can of worms.
So- but it's a nice composition, and you don't need all that sky though either. You might cut down on the very top of the sky perhaps. Yeah, right around there.
You could select the sky too, and I think that's what you're getting at.
Yeah, yeah.
Select the sky and darken it a little bit.
Yeah, the new masking has just made things so easy to do some local stuff. It's really incredible.
Wow, I was just there Wednesday. You got a portrait of me while I was there. I don't know what is that? I don't know what primate that is.
I don't remember which one it was,
So,
but I did have to crop in to get that because I had another
you had to crop.
half a monkey on one
Right.
side and
It's just a little bit tight.
doing nothing.
Yeah, it's a little bit tight. You know, we talked about shooting loose. It's not bad on the left side, but we'd like to have a little bit more where he's looking into some space. The exposure looks really good. It looks really sharp. The eyes are sharp. The front fur is sharp. So you selected a good shutter speed. You're indoors. I think they were indoors that day. They were because of smoke. So I would try to. We could look at the histogram. His right eye, well, his left from our right, doesn't have the highlight in it. I don't know what can happen if we try to bring up the exposure, bring up the shadows maybe, see if that'll brighten that eye a little bit. Yeah, it's good. It's a good exposure. It's a good shot. You know, ISO 400.
He didn't make it very easy.
Oh, they don't. And you're shooting through glass on top of that, right? Yeah.
Well, he knows what a camera is apparently, and he was a little shy on that.
Yeah, you did a really good job of hand holding that. You're at
Yeah.
205 millimeters at a 60th of a second.
60th of a
Were
second.
you must have been pressed up against the glass. Were you? Well, you should. You know, it's a situation like this, that's a good technique to use because to get zoomed in on them, apparently you needed that longer length, and that's in theory you shouldn't be able to hand hold it.
And I held it.
Yeah, you did a
Right,
good
and-
job of hand holding that.
And always focus on the closest eye, because when
Yep.
you're this close at that 200 millimeters, your depth of field is going to be tiny. So what you want at least is the eye closest to you in focus.
If I was going to shoot this myself, because I know I couldn't hold that steady, I probably would have. I have no problems with our current cameras of jacking my ISO up to 2,000. You know, that would have given you some more shutter speed, and it would put you probably closer to what you should be able to hand hold. But that's technique that all of us should be practicing, is to know what we can hand hold at. Because what might look good on the back of the camera and you get it up on the computer, it might not look as good as yours does here.
Wow.
Belinda.
That's pretty beautiful. I'm just curious, what was the shutter speed on this one to freeze those wings?
6/40th, 1/640th of a second, f2.8, 135 millimeters, ISO 640.
I'm surprised shutter speed 1/640th caught him that sharp, but that's great. Yeah, I'm not sure I would do anything to this either. Maybe just a little bit of vignette in the top two corners. Oh, this one's not too bad. That one's a little bright, but yeah, I don't know what I would have done differently.
Can I just stir the pot for a second?
Sure.
Belinda, because this is absolutely beautiful. Just out of a total curiosity question, you're at 2.8, very narrow depth of field. Is that all background just due to the depth of field, or did you do anything to? That's, wow.
This was Costa Rica at a feeder, and that was some distance away, the background.
That is beautiful. So that's all just the natural depth of field.
But what troubled me is the coloring of that background. I don't know what I could have done differently to change the background to make it a nicer shot. I don't know.
If you wanted to, you could desaturate the back.
You could what the background?
Desaturate, just a little desaturation, if you want.
Yeah. Well, and again, with the new tools in Photoshop and Lightroom, you can isolate the background and do almost anything you want with it in terms of color or brightness or saturation,
The
whatever.
new masking tools are incredible. So
Yeah.
before, which took a long time to really get every little detail between up here in these stems and whatnot and mask, is done pretty much automatically. So then with the background, you can, as I said, Gary said, desaturate or other things to experiment.
Oh, I really like this. This is, again, when you're looking at black and white, you like to have a lot of contrast and a good tonal from the whites to the darks. The thing I saw right away is I'm not sure what's happening on the left-hand side. Is that the sun setting?
That's a good question. I wasn't sure myself, and I didn't even really notice it until I turned it into black and white.
What
Yeah.
are you talking about those rays like
Yeah,
and the light?
it's blown out on the left side. It just doesn't look natural. Yeah, right over here. You got rays, and I was wondering if the sun was going down. And the clouds are a little bit blown out. I don't know if we've got, if you can bring the whites down. Yeah, there's a peak over there it's clipped on the highlights.
Yeah.
That helps. That must be the sun. Could it be the sun setting? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
Because you might not have noticed it in color. And then when you convert it, those things show. And that's one of those things, this would be a tough one to remove those. But I feel like they need to be removed because it just doesn't look natural to me.
Try some dehaze on it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You also got a bright area right here behind that mesa or whatever you would call that.
What did you do there?
Dehaze.
I like that better because look at the punch it gives you and there's a lot more contrast.
Yeah, that was a
there.
little bit of dehaze, as Mike said.
Might be a little too much, but
The other thing I didn't know is whether it would be more effective cropped tighter, but it was just an interesting landscape to me.
No, I like the lines in it. You've got competing, you've got this horizontal line here, or this diagonal here, and then you've got a diagonal there to break into it. I like the lines of it.
can you grab the sky and then just lower the clarity and see if that does something with the painting?
I could change out the sky.
Well, yeah,
Just change it all together. That's good enough.
just try lowering the clarity and see if that does it. Still doesn't get rid of it, okay.
No, not that much. I think it's difficult with those rays in different places.
Could be the smoke from Canada.
This is right by the border of Mexico.
Looks like Arizona. Very, okay.
This is Bill Keaton.
All right, well, this is a very abstract image. Not sure at all what it is. It kind of looks to me like something underwater with the water rippling or something, but it's got a lot of impact. The bright whites, I don't know what I would do differently. The bright whites kind of jump out at me a little more than I wish they would, but they're part of the image, so.
Bill, what is it?
That is a reflection of buildings along the river walk in San Antonio, Texas.
Okay.
Reflections of a building along the Riverwalk in San Antonio.
In water, reflection in water?
Reflections, I was looking for people, and it was boring people. I looked into the water and said, okay,
Yeah. Okay,
Spent like a half hour photographing reflections.
yeah, it's a cool abstract image,
This is a good example of creativity in camera
yeah.
without Photoshop.
Was the person supposed to be there, or am I just seeing stuff in reflection that's not there?
You're seeing, you're filling in something that's not there. And
Okay.
that's kind of why I propped it that way, because it does like a human figure. And the brain always looks for that kind of stuff. So that's why I put it in kind of a prominent area in the photo.
It's the kind of image that will sell to put on a wall.
So,
Riverwalk.
yeah,
Same Riverwalk.
I see a giraffe. How about everybody else?
Oh, I do.
I was just at the zoo, so it looks like a giraffe to me. Yeah, great impact, good in-camera abstract. You know, things like this, you can't really say, well, I've done that or would have done this. This is the statement that he wants to make, and it's got impact. We've got, you know, real high contrast, which really works well. Bill, am I seeing color in there? It's not a true black and white?
No, there's color in that.
Yeah. That would be a choice. You never know until you try it, you know?
Desaturated it some
Mm-hmm.
to emphasize those wavy lines, but that is still coloring.
Yeah, the giraffe's eye
Yeah.
has got some color that I see, and maybe this, is that a palm tree down there, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, really nice abstract. Like I said, we're having all this discussion about the things that we're doing in the computer to enhance our images with AI, but you've always got the option of making an abstract in camera.
Actually, this wasn't even, again, this was his vision and whatnot. This was the water.
Yeah, the only thing done in Photoshop was playing with contrast, desaturating it a bit, and some of those wavy lines were really hot, and I burnt them down to make them more consistent. But it's 90% as it came from the camera.
That's right.
Bob Kowaleski.
An interesting tree stump, pleasing foliage around it, or grass, weeds, whatever. The purple in the sky, I guess, bothers me a little bit. I keep looking at that, and so maybe, you know, if you could change the color of the sky a little bit and make it a little more blue, and bring out some of the detail in the shadows of the tree stump, the dark part of the tree stump. Might help it a little.
Is that Rocky River Reservation? Well, that's the Cuyahoga Valley. Oh, okay. That's quite honestly very close to what the college of Sky was.
Wow.
That's right at sunrise.
Huh.
Wow, so those are the real colors at the time.
Very close. If you look at the TV monitor, you can get perfect.
Oh, yeah, there is more detail in the shadows on the monitors. That looks pretty good.
Yeah, when I go through the park, I leave the park very frequently. I look for things and stuff like this. And again, the Sky Native, I pass this street probably 25 times a year with a stump, and it was all about the marine life.
Huh.
Yeah, I like that the sky is kind of, or maybe is that it's not lavender, but the wildflowers in the bottom kind of talk back and forth to the sky to me.
Yeah.
I think what's interesting about this picture, I remember one of the classes, I can't remember, Moats, I think, said, anybody can take a picture of a perfect flower, like a tulip or something like that. And I think what's interesting here, it's like you see the new birth coming out of this trunk. So it's something that's not perfect, but this is something that's turning out there in nature.
Hmm.
And like, I think it's like Moats said, anybody can take a picture of a perfect flower. And, you know, it's not necessarily that interesting.
Yeah, this is just the, you know, the angle you took it at, everything. I really like this.
It's much better on the monitor. You do see the detail.
Now, we know this is not done this week, right? This is not Canadian smog. This is what I thought we had when I woke up Wednesday. I just love fog pictures, and there's not, I suppose if somebody's really, really good in Photoshop, you can imitate that, but it's, real fog is hard to imitate. And when I see images like this, it causes me to think of, I bet you can remember everything about that moment when you shot that, the feel of the air, the time of the day. It's just, I really like this. Obviously, the composition is really good. You've got that leading line with the pathway there, which is followed by the vegetation along the lake, and the lake follows along with it. It's balanced. You know, you've got the leading lines on the right, you've got the lake on the left, and the foliage on the left. I think compositionally it's outstanding. The exposure is good. I don't think there's anything I would do differently, not having been there. It's a really great image.
I'm just going to play for just a second. I love the fog. I'm just seeing with a, again, I'm just looking on my monitor, maybe the tiny less fog. No. Nope, that's just the perfect amount, the way you have it. It's beautiful. Bill? Yeah.
What if you cropped it a little bit on the left and a little bit on the right? Not a whole lot on the right, you want to maintain that curve. But I think if you tighten it up just a little bit, there's not as much fog on the right. Right there, that's plenty. Come in just to the edge of the road on to the right a little bit. Let keep going, go, a little bit, right there. Does that help concentrate your eyes on the fog and that branches in the reflection? I'm just throwing that out.
I like it, but it's not quite as square. The aspect ratio then bothers me that way.
Okay.
I mean, that's just, you know, personal taste. If they're gonna, I mean, I think that improved cropping those out, but I would then maybe bring the top and bottom down a little bit to give us back to some kind of a rectangular aspect ratio. Just, there's a lot of things that look good in squares, but I think this one is asking to be a landscape orientation.
The only thing, when I see that branch, that curved branch out of the water, like,
The-
looking at that, and
The branch in the water?
or skirt,
The Loch Ness Monster?
right there. So you still see the branch to the left, but I don't know if you would take that out. I don't know. Because when I first saw that, I was trying to figure out what it was. I was just concentrating on that more than the fogness. So.
I like it. It kind of gives something in the middle of the picture. You know, that would be just water there, which would be fine, but it's just another object, and it's got a nice reflection to it as well.
It is sort of the center of interest to the photo. It's where your eye goes immediately, and then you explore the rest of it. Yeah.
And just, I guess it was point of, sometimes take these pictures and try and clean them up too much.
Right. It's also, when you talk about cleaning up pictures too, it's also, again, a matter of your artistic vision and your taste, is where you might really like it with that branch out, and some of us might like it with it in. There's no right or wrong to that.
But I find myself, sometimes we can clean things up too much.
Yeah. Bryant Muhammad.
Wow, that's dramatic. Again, a little more detail on the monitors. The water on the left is a little hot, and the shadow on the right, or our right side of the bear is a little dark. So maybe they could be.
Yeah, you see, and there is detail. It looks blown out on the left, but there is detail there.
Yeah.
You come down.
Yeah, that's beginning to show some little detail in the water. Yeah. I think that makes it a little better. There you go.
You know, especially over the top of the head of the bear too.
Uh-huh.
There looked like it was, you know, blown out and detail. Again, this is not a camera problem. If you spot meter on the bear, then everything would be blown out in the back. This is the
Right.
best the camera could do. So post-processing just helps bring it back to the way you saw it.
Mhm.
Beautiful shot. Photoshop beta, you could take out the bear.
Wow, this is, got a lot of feel to it. I'm trying to figure out what's going on in the background. I have a hard time getting a feel for everything going on. I don't know what's going on in the background. And the disc in the upper right hand, I don't see enough of it to know what that is. Who shot this? Are they here?
Is Brian here?
My guess is that that's maybe the bottom of a part of a fountain,
Yeah, yeah.
and this is water.
Yeah, this is another one again where I think the exposure is as good as the camera could have done, but we've got some blown out areas on the marble. But that's just, you know, we can see what would happen. If you look at the histogram, it's filling the frame. Yeah, that gives us some more detail there.
Here's one where I would really, yeah, with the new generative fill that's in the beta, I would get rid of that and hopefully I like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
It
you know,
looks-
this brings up that controversial thing again too, is no matter which way you moved around, this is as best you could get, and you can't go and move that as well. So the question is, with that upper right thing out of the picture, if you kind of just block it out with your hand there and see, and then you'd be able to crop in, and it would really be stunning. But if there's nothing you could do about that, one of the things I was thinking is maybe just cropping a little,
Yeah.
get rid of some of. It brings up that discussion again about, you know, what to do about that thing in the upper right. We know what we can do, but should you do it, or just be left with this picture?
Well, I mean, right now, or 2 months ago, I would do it with content-aware fill and see what I got, and it would probably be similar, and nobody would question it.
Now, let's see. Let me just do it crudely with the 1940s tool here, which is not the, it just gives you a crude idea, but you have a more dramatic picture now.
Yeah, the background reminds me of like the Milky Way or something, so it looks very celestial to me. I kind of like it.
We're just showing you possibilities and whatnot. Whether you do it, whether this will be allowed to do or whatnot, that's a separate issue too. But these are just the possibilities. Is Elda here? No, it's Elda Baroni.
Yeah. Boy, a really, I guess, a beautiful sort of fall view. Should look at it over there. I'm not sure, I don't know if I would do anything differently with this. Maybe try bringing up a little more saturation in the trees in the background, and a little less haze.
Bring
maybe.
up the saturation
Yeah,
in the trees. Okay.
or bring down the haze. It may just be a matter of that. Some haze at the very top, I think you need it to give you that that depth or atmospheric perspective. But
I'm going to try to just bring up the saturation just in the trees back
yeah.
there with a local brush, because the foreground is already saturated.
yeah.
Oh, you're right, Coleman. That gives a...
yeah, maybe now bring it back down just
Bring
a
back
little.
down a little, okay.
Yeah, right around in there, maybe.
So we're, it's before,
I would bring down the saturation of the foreground, so it's.
yeah, I was thinking that as well. Bringing down the saturation of the foreground.
Uh-huh.
So we'll create a new mask, and we'll desaturate. Bring down the saturation of the foreground a little.
Yeah, I like that. I would maybe also, as long as you're using our new tools, maybe take the exposure down on that grass in the very front. It's
Take the exposure down.
on that, yeah,
on
that
the
tufted
grass.
grass in the middle and the
Right.
front. Yeah, it's kind of drawing our eye, I think, away a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, so here we look at, so we've increased the saturation of the background, we've increased the saturation of the background, we've decreased it in the foreground and darkened that bush up front. And you could play with these, such as the foreground, if we want to give a little more saturation back to the foreground. Just come in there. And once you actually make these adjustments, you can go back and forth to get fine-tuned.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot less sort of glaring in your face, I think, now than it was initially. And you might want to play with it some more.
Yeah, you could
But-
play with it some more and fine-tune it. But before, I agree, the foreground almost looked a little oversaturated. Like I said, and the background could use a little more, so that's all we did is just to make we kind of reversed it a little too. And if you were working with this, you'd spend time to get it just the way you want. So we're just kind of crudely showing you the possibilities. Very nice.
This is a great, so whose is this again?
This is Elda Baroni.
Elda? So Elda, you need to put this into our photojournalism night. This is a classic photojournalism scene. Just a lot going on here with the expressions, so I'm seeing the father is stood off to the side to grab a quick smoke. Grandpa is just really loving seeing his grandchildren interact with an aunt and a mom. Okay, I just made the scene there.
You made a lot of assumptions.
I did,
about
didn't I?
these
I just assumed a lot.
Relationships.
Well, my daughter and granddaughter are in town, so I'm thinking in that realm.
Tells a story. It might not be
does.
the real story, but
Yeah,
it tells a story.
It tells a story. Make up your own story. But this is just what we're looking for in photojournalism. So the exposure is good. Might be a little overexposed, but it could be just the aspect of the bright buildings that are in the picture. You could maybe, I would maybe take down the little cropping, take down the top some, get that parking sign out of the way. It distracts me a little bit, and it brings us closer to a more landscape, and maybe the bottom just a little bit down to, or up. I like that more of a landscape aspect ratio.
What do you think about the father on the right?
Yeah, we
The
could
fact
take-
that he's kind of,
If-
he might be fine there, but the fact that he's half cut
Well,
off.
we'd use AI to take the cigarette away from him, for one thing. Smoking is bad for your health.
Give him a-
We could have him playing a trumpet, maybe.
No, but in terms of cropping him out.
You could crop him out. I just didn't consider that as an option because the way he's looking, I'm kind of
Yeah.
assuming he's part of the family.
And it's difficult because it tells, right, it's part of the story as well,
Mm-hmm.
but it just kind of grabs at you that he's kind of half cropped out.
Yeah.
And actually, AI would do a tremendous, I've done that before. You extend your canvas a half inch out to the right, and then use the Photoshop Beta, the generative fill, and it will complete him perfectly, the shoes and everything too. But that's, again, for not in
Yeah.
our realm.
What makes a shot are the expressions in there, though. There's a lot of expressions going in.
But that is a good, whoever said that out there, that is a, you know, I'm not advocating anything, but, you know, we're here just to give you the possibilities. And in the old days, again, you could leave him in. The fact that he's clipped there bothers me. You could crop, and it would still tell a great story there, which I think it's a great balanced picture as well. But you also have nowadays a third option, which is if you weren't entering this or things too, you could extend this canvas over an inch on the right there and just have the rest of him filled in. Yeah, we had a question in the back.
I just wanted to make a comment. I think what I love too about the shot is up top is the street edge leads your eye to the pillars, which curves into the old guy, which leads the lines on the ground. It's just all going in a circle with those lines.
Right. The comment was, for those of you at home too, is right. Those are excellent features of this. I think you were talking about the pillars here. The pillars and this curved line around just kind of lead you right into him. Is that what you were talking about?
Yeah, and then the lines on the ground bring you over to the left.
Yes.
It goes back up in a circle.
And the lines, right, so you have the lines, the pillars coming down, these leading lines, you have the lines there. It's like a circle almost. Yeah, a lot of leading lines in here, which really, again, look nice. So there are a lot of possibilities here. Again, it just depends on your artistic vision. But since the guy on the right here is not related anyway to him, I would take him.
Well, it could be
There you go.
Dad, and we remove the evidence that he used to smoke when the kids
There
grow
you
up.
go. That's the other. Very nice, though. Yeah, you're right. Nice capture. And when you're doing street photography too, one of the things is try to keep your. This is shot at 100th of a second. And you know the grandfather here is kind of leaning down, and he's a little motion blurred on the face, probably because he was just leaning down fast. So 100th of a second, if you're out on the street, is, you know, I keep it up, you know, at 200, things like that, for just these kind of little motion things. But beautiful picture. Good. Okay. Eric. Whoa. Eric Botsky.
Wow, another tremendous really powerful shot of this, I guess, some type of leopard. Snow leopard, yeah.
Comment
Pretty-
fast because this is making me nervous.
It's pretty tight, and I'm not sure that's a bad thing. The eyes are beautiful, everything's in focus that needs to be in focus. Yeah, here's another one I'm not sure I would,
You take that rock out, left?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's an interesting point you said, because I'm sitting here thinking that I like that rock. You know,
Yeah,
the key is, all right, don't take it out,
I was
but as I'm
deb-
looking at it, it gives a little context and
Yeah.
frame, and wasn't,
Debating it in my mind too.
Yes.
And I sort of thought, nah, I'd leave it.
I like it. But the eyes are just tack sharp. And
Yeah,
I mean, it's nice to see, very close to the catch eye.
Yeah,
uh-huh.
this was and let me see what the, it's, f-stop is, yeah, 5.6 at a 300 millimeters. You know, I'm surprised, Eric, that, you know, this is a great depth of field. I would expect to be a lot less, but that nose is sharp, the eyes are sharp, you know, the ears and head, it's a good depth of field. It's beautiful. This was in the zoo? Which zoo is this? Cleveland Zoo. It's a great shot. And those are really,
Because otherwise I feel like I'm dinner.
yeah. Is this through glass?
I'm not sure, I don't remember where it was, but I'm pretty sure it's through the fence.
Through the fence, yeah.
Uh-huh.
So to be able, yeah, to get through the fence, you know, and have the fence show up. And zoos are so hard because there's other things around in the background, but this is beautiful. Wow. All right, let me- Let's go to, whoa.
Yeah, really great shot, and just reflections like this are hard to come by. That is an absolutely great shot with the reflections, and exposure is good, the bird is tack sharp, the background is muted and doesn't have any distracting features. I don't think I'd play with the crop either. I think it's good. We've got enough room out in front of him. Yeah, I wouldn't touch it. Good job, Eric.
I would give it a little more, I would give it just a titch more space on the left, but this way it seems like a beautiful portrait of the bird. I think if you give it a little space on the left, it gives it a little more sense of action.
I cropped it there because there wasn't any more playing with because the sun was coming in from the
Okay.
direction. It was really bright. You can kind of see it down at the bottom left
Yeah,
where it's
uh-huh,
starting to really bleed in. And
okay,
it's very much apparent.
uh-huh, yeah,
I'm gonna try a vignette too.
yeah, I think it's good point, Mike.
Very nice. Nice shots. Right. This is Gary. Gary Marriage?
I've been shooting these lately myself, and they're pretty challenging. This is a nice photo of this osprey. Again, you might be able to bring up a little detail in the shadows. I found with my own that there is some color in there that is much more pleasing than the black that appears that our camera tends to pick up.
Do you mean the shadows in the wing?
Yeah, under the wing.
Let me see if I could. Yeah, that brings up, yeah, that's before, brings up a little detail there.
Yeah. On this image, even just using the slider for the blacks and the shadows without the mask might be enough.
Yeah. And the highlights a little for the head. It's difficult, the sun was glaring off the
Yeah.
head. These are difficult. If I could make one point, if I'm looking at this close on the monitor, I think this was shot at a good speed, 1/1600th of a second. So it's not motion blur. But I think what happened is the camera picked the wrong focus. It looks like this tip of the wing right around here is really sharp, but the head's blurred. And I think the camera just focused the point of focus, it's autofocus or whatnot, or tracking or whatever it did, just picked up because these feathers look pretty good here, but the head didn't, and it's a 1600th, so it should have stopped it. So that's another really difficult thing with birds in flight is getting the focus just right or to lock on the head. So what was the f-stop here? F-stop is 5.6 with a almost 300 millimeter lens.
Can you go back to what you did on the wing?
Yes, go back to what we did on okay, that was the original picture. And then what I did is you notice the head is kind of blown out on top and the wing over here is kind of real black too. So I lightened the shadows on that part of the wing, so we can see a little detail there. And then just brought down the highlights to try to work on the head. If I was working on this more, I would blow it up and try to work more on the head. I'm not sure if there's detail to be had there. Let's see. Any other comments?
To me, that blue is too intense. I'd like to see a little less.
The blue is
Move the
Blue-
temp slider a little bit to the left.
the temp slider?
Okay, try that first.
Okay. Make it a little warmer.
Yeah, I think,
Either that or maybe some slight desaturation or something. It doesn't look natural to me.
Let me bring the blues down just a little in terms of the saturations. And maybe the hue, oh, it's a little purple, a little aqua. No, that was the luminance.
Yeah, the luminance and just something I think you could play with. Just to me, that blue is just too intense. It just didn't look natural.
Yeah. Let me take the targeted adjustment tool, take the saturation. Let's see, yeah, we can see there's before. We're working more, and you could always work it too.
I think you want some blue in there, but the blue that was there was just.
Yeah, so if we're somewhere like that now, yeah, and this is how it was before, you could see. You're right, and now looking at this, Mike's right there, is that blue looks really intense.
Also, birds tend to be off-white, not a bright white. So this tends to show the birds off-white colors.
Yeah. Okay.
where was that shot?
I don't think Gary's here.
Photo- Okay.
Yeah. Ooh.
Wow, this has a real nice feel to it. There's just I'm not sure how he achieved it, but it's just got a real nice feel to it. Compositionally, ignoring the dog for just a second, we've got a good horizon. The diagonal line from the leg, the tree is in the thirds, and the dog is also, in that bottom left third. I wish I knew what the dog was going for. It
Yeah.
looks like he's about to grab some critter or something, but this has just got a real nice feel to it. I don't know how that was achieved, but it's a really good job, Gary.
Saturday evening photo
It does.
Yeah.
It's something he's done to it. That,
Yeah.
he's probably, it's a concealed secret he'll never tell us, but it just has a feel to it that I really, really like. Good job. I wouldn't change anything
There's
here.
a little bit of blur in the tail, I guess, motion blur.
Yeah, yeah. You can always do a little bit of vignette, but you gotta be careful because it's very easy to go overboard. But it just, a slight vignette will help draw you in to the center more, but that's really getting picky. And that's really more of a personal taste.
And it's nice with the sun behind. If those trees weren't there, the sun would be a little blown out on the, here it's behind the trees and just gives that orange haze. And also just the plain contrails
Yeah.
are like leading lines going perfectly off.
It's got a presence, is the best way I can put it. There's just a presence about it. And you can feel that time of day, you know, it's that little last bit of the golden hour.
Yeah. Very nice.
You know, when you look at the picture, it looks like it's really telling a story, because it looks like obviously it's only for something. Or it doesn't know if he's growling.
Right, you don't know what the story is of this. Yeah, he could be growling, he could be looking at something. He could be ceramic for all I know.
That's why he let the tail blur a little.
No, you're right, and the foot is blurred too, so that's a
He's an AI generated.
AI generated dog. That's beautiful shot.
With motion blur.
With motion, right, that's the new ceramics
The
are
new
coming
prompt.
with that. Okay, we got Gary Wood.
Oh, wow.
Right? Yeah. Wow.
Well, no comment. I like this a lot.
Yeah, this is
It-
nice.
Yeah, it could also be a vertical. And, no,
A vertical, just to see what it looked like, just out of curiosity.
I'd get the sun out of the center.
yeah.
The sun out of the center?
Yeah.
Oh,
Even with the horizontal,
even with the,
even if you had gone back to a landscape.
okay, let's see how this, okay, let's go back to the landscape. And just crop it to bring the, whoops. We didn't reset crop. We didn't mean that.
Just bring in the left side or something.
Bring in the left side a little.
The action's all sort of, just a little.
Yeah, that's,
Okay.
Just sort of blocks.
You want any of the top or bottom brought down?
Bring up the bottom just a touch.
Bring up the bottom just a touch.
Leave a little bit of each one.
Okay, a little bit.
So, to me, that looks, maybe
Less centered.
static.
Yeah. That's an interesting point, yeah.
We did an AI seagull flying through the
I was going to
This
say
is the-
that too.
We'll bring the dog in from the other picture. That's the other. But you're right, I think this crop is, it's a good point. I didn't see that. And
I like it better. I was concentrating on the crest of the wave, putting that
Yeah.
in a little further.
Ah, okay, yeah.
Can you take the blacks a little deeper,
the black's a little deep.
Water not smoothed out.
just a little bit deeper on the black?
On the blacks, a little bit deeper on the blacks. Okay. Let's see what that's.
Can we put a shark in?
I think there's one out there, a fin.
You're going to get me in trouble.
How about Norfolk?
That's the. Yeah. Let's see. There. We took the blacks down just a little. It's hard because things become darker then. If I bring the highlights down, you know, it's a difficult exposure as it is, and I think what makes it is this wave, the big
What would-
wave here.
Richard, could you take dehaze down a little bit? I think we're getting some lens flare. I'd like to see what it looks like.
Some dehaze a little?
A little bit of dehaze, because there's some lens flare coming in, which is impossible to prevent when you're shooting in the sun.
It's gonna darken it a bit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just thought I'd try it.
You know, I think that's a really fascinating picture, because a lot of people, go back again to my photos, everybody takes a picture of the sunset. But what makes this picture is that those waves on top. And some people might wait till the waves calm down to do that.
Oh, well, this is what I was trying to get to, was the most dramatic wave.
yeah.
Where's that taken?
St. Pete Beach,
Where?
Florida, St. Pete Beach. Florida West Coast, Central Florida West Coast.
But like I said, you know, you see so many pictures just of sunsets or sunrise, and you don't see the action on the water. I think that's really fascinating.
And if you zoom in,
Yeah.
there's detail on that wave.
Yeah, I think that wave makes, the wave, and you caught it just where it's off to the side of the sunset too, so it's really just you're right, that's one of the main parts of the picture. Very nice, nice capture. Yeah, you could see the detail in the wave. And this was shot at, 200th of a second. ISO 200. Very nice, Gary. Let's see. Okay.
Beautiful colors. It's really got great saturation on it. The first thing I looked at was the eye, and from where I'm looking, it looks like the eye might be soft. I'm sorry?
You know why?
Why? He's moving?
It's moving.
Yeah.
Look at the legs aren't moving.
Right, I'm looking at that leaf. The lower leaf is just tack sharp.
Okay, so
I
the
can see a
discussion
spider
is,
web.
yeah, because Gary doesn't have a mic. For the people at
Right.
home, yeah, we were talking, when Chris mentioned that the eye was soft too, Gary pointed out, that's because the head was moving. Brings up the interesting point that the legs are tack sharp.
And so is the
and
upper
back
wing.
is, yes, the upper wing and the back is tack sharp too,
Mm-hmm.
so the head was just kind of moving.
And there's a spider web on the bottom leaf. It's that sharp that you can see that little spider web.
The shutter speed is 1/4000.
Really,
Wow.
1/4000
The
for a
shutter speed on this was, we were saying, 1/4000th of
Wow.
a second. Wow,
Gary,
400
you-
millimeters, 6.3.
You need to use photo AI, Gary.
Yeah. I mean, I love this. I love the bokeh. The bokeh is just beautiful.
Yeah,
Is that natural bokeh, Gary? Yeah, the bokeh is great. And the sharp, where it's sharp is just wonderful. That's just amazing. You couldn't stop that motion with a 4,000th of a second.
wow.
So
Yeah,
go
that
back
is-
and do it again, okay? With an 8,000.
That's impressive.
Does the out of focus eye and the middle thorax really bother you?
Yeah, I went right to the eye. With most animals, you go right to the eye. Now, you could, it's possible you could try to sharpen that with AI sharpen, local sharpening. I don't know. My experience with that has been mixed.
Well, Gary's going to be doing the talk on Topaz.
Right, I know.
So
That's why I was throwing it
I'm sure
out there
he's got-
for him.
This has some sharpening in it, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what I think you see here is, it's just starting to take off. It's got its maximum upward thrust right now. And the thorax is being lifted by the wings, and the head's going along with it. And the legs are flexing, so the bottom
Right.
parts of the legs are still stationary.
Is that a hummingbird moth or a sphinx? I can't tell. I don't know that much about moths,
I
but
can't
it's a good-sized moth.
Well, we used to have a photographer that used to keep these insects in his freezer
Yes, that's right.
and just
Or-
bring them out.
or that's
for
actually what they-
photos,
that's actually what they
and they
do.
never moved.
Yes, a lot of photographers put them in the refrigerator because it doesn't kill them, but they get cold and they like kind of get motionless, and then you photograph them, and then when they thaw out, they go away.
Walking around in the park,
You don't have one of those portable refrigerators? Beautiful, beautiful, interesting. Okay. That is George Klepis.
This is, yeah, I was gonna say, I've,
Is this a
run across this more times than I'd like to remember.
Oh, yeah, it's a cemetery. Oh, jeez, that's
Just a really, really cute photo. Something we've probably all seen. Got the young geese are there as well.
Yes, not the car, but interesting, the right side, the left is the cemetery, and you have the whole procession. I'm wondering if you could just get rid of some of the right
Yeah, you
side,
could get rid of some of
just
the
to
right.
where,
Yeah. Yeah, that, we seem to have a lot of
yeah.
shooting into the sun or almost into the sun, so we've got some bright areas of the sky tonight on a lot of photos. But it is what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, these are ones that are hard. You're right. For the photographer that's out there doing these candids, you'd like to take it from the other side because the sun would be better, but you get over there, the ducks aren't there anymore, the geese aren't there.
Right.
So basically, this is, or they'd be walked across the street, so this is the perfect time. You know, you've got, like Coleman said, you've got what you've got,
Yeah.
and then you just work around it.
Does anyone use the graduated neutral density filters? Or is that thing?
Graduated neutral
Yeah.
density?
You-
Yeah.
mixed results. You could use a gradient filter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you use a grad filter on this, the left side would still be hot on the sky, and the right would be dark.
Yeah, in fact, with the only thing where the haze comes on the side, and let me see, just experiment with this a tiny bit. On that monument, I'm going to take a tiny bit of, this is the only place that haze is noticeable, and I'm going to try to just stick a little bit of dehaze right on the, where'd my dehaze go? There it is. If you could, so in other words, if we go there,
Yeah, that's an improvement.
and now you've taken the effect of the haze kind of just off locally. Here, I'll do it just on that tree there too. And so now, there we go before. Again, there's nothing you could do about that. That's just where the sun is. But you could do some local touch-up, and it's not as noticeable. Nice capture, just perfect timing.
Even better if the truck was on the other side of the geese.
Even better if the truck, that's the second time you mentioned the truck. But here, I'll come to the defense of the purists, though, too. This is where that artistic vision comes in, because I think the truck balances it. There's an object on the right, there's the objects on the left, too. And even though I could easily take that out, if I was doing this, I would leave it in. But again, if you think that it's a better picture with it out, it's easy to do that. I mean, that's your decision, but it's the wrong one. No. Yeah, we gotta,
You know, it's interesting, you take them out, it looks like you're like in an animal park. And the reality is how these geese are in our lives all the time. And I think the fact that the car there
right.
shows how they either we intrude on their life or they intrude on our life.
Right, the car, right, it adds context to it. But this is the whole AI discussion too, is that it really depends on your vision here as well. And this brings up a good point. We like the car in, kind of makes a story, others wouldn't, just, bring up the shadow, you mean, bring some more shadows in? Or lighten up the shadows? Lighten up the shadows. Okay, I thought they looked good there. Yeah, the shadows are pretty. You mean the shadows were down in the tree here?
I was trying to do the geese without having to blood.
In fact, even make a point, it tells a story to this, like, the geese may have waited until that car passed, until they started crossing the road.
Obviously, you don't have. You said the geese were waiting till the car passed. You have never encountered geese Geese do not let the geese will just, they will look at you, they will smile, and they will just take their time walking across.
I've even seen them have a crossing guard.
Yeah,
Sometimes one will go out and stand in the
Yep.
middle of the road like a crossing guard while the others pass.
yeah, they are
Maybe the geese rode to the cemetery in a car.
that's right, yeah, that's right. And maybe the geese, who knows the story here? They all could have piled out of the car there.
Maybe
But-
there's a goose coffin in that car.
That's right. That's the other. But no, that's why I think these pictures are interesting and a good one. It tells, we don't really know the backstory of this too, and it's a really interesting, you wonder what's going on. But I think it's a great capture too. So let's see. Oh,
Wow, that's got a lot of impact. That's, yeah, I like this. It's sharp where it needs to be. The out of focus areas in the front, feel like we're almost intruding into his space to get a picture of him. The owlet, is that a word? An owl, the little owl, baby owl is really tack sharp. Eyes are good. The placement's right where I would put it, over in the left-hand third. Again, I'm back to that maybe vignette a little bit just to force us more into the center of the picture, but I wouldn't change anything else.
yeah, the reds, the color comment, it's the reds kind of the eye with the greens of the tree just goes.
Did you have to climb that tree, George? Was that it back to the wild?
Yeah, it was back to the one.
I would use spot healing or something to get rid of the tethers below it or
I was
something.
waiting.
Yeah.
I was going to give it another. Thank you. Cole.
So really what you could do, although there's still, I think you can still, part of the tether right there, but you could crop it just below that, and you'd be good.
But again, this comes down to your personal thing. This is not something you do for competition. In nature competition, you do not take out those things they're holding them down. That's just it. That's the rules. However, if you're doing this personally for yourself, nowadays this is a beautiful picture, and if you'd want to just kind of quickly remove those would just be removed instantly. It would look like it was in the wild. So again, depends. So I'm not talking competition here at all, too. Bill?
Take out the orange spot in the center of the photograph.
That
That's the
okay, the orange spot in the center. Let's see if we could heal that. That one over there?
That's right there.
And let me just do a crude thing there. So basically, that's kind of your eyes jump into that.
It's orange, that's where your eyes are gonna go.
Good point. There it is out.
And I would do something about that bottom right-hand corner that's a little hot.
Will you crop a little of that right, or?
Probably.
Let's see, because there is some room to,
And,
if you crop a little of that,
yeah,
we want to still keep,
yeah.
well, you could do variations of that and still keep them. In fact, let me go back to this cropped so I keep them in the little rules of third here. Yeah, still a perfect picture. It accentuates him more because we've cropped in a little, but still, it's not a tight crop. And yeah, I think Bill's right, getting that spot out and that, and I just the eyes with the tree. So those two colors just are. This was Back to the Wild, you said? Wow. This is nice. Anyone else have any comments on? Okay. Graham Stead. Oops. Ah,
Yeah, it's funny because I just shot a whole 15 minutes story about this same thing at the Menor Marsh a few weeks ago, where I think the green the great blue heron was near the nest of the, every time the heron walked in front
Oh.
of the nest of the red-winged blackbirds, the red-winged blackbirds would attack it. And it was pretty oblivious until finally they got it to fly off. But it tells a great story. It's beautifully exposed. You could try and bring out a little more detail in the red-winged blackbirds, although it's tricky. You won't get much.
Yeah.
But sometimes you can get sort of the edges of their feathers to some degree. I wish there was a little more room on the left, but again, it's
My,
a lot there, and you're at 400 millimeters, so maybe it could have backed out a little bit, but they might have been too far away too.
A horizontal flip.
but was that a horizontal what?
Flip.
So that it's moving left to right.
Horizontal flip to. Where is. Mike, where's rotate on? Let me see if it's in develop. Let me see if it's in the crop.
And I know where it is in Photoshop, but not
Yeah, I
in
know where it is in
Lightroom.
Photoshop. But what would, flipping it would still, it wouldn't give you any more room.
They say things look more natural going left to right, which it would give us that. Yeah.
That's here, not in the Mideast. They go right to left. That's
true.
I mean, basically is. I have another question on this. I can't find the flip. And this is just a personal preference. The two attacking are great. They're really spread out, though, as well. And I was just looking at this and wondering, cropping that one out, and it kind of tells the story, it's kind of being, again, just your preference, and that to me is a lot more balanced and whatnot too. The other one, right, there are two attacking, but this one is so farther behind, it spreads out the picture. So it just, that's,
You could try content aware fill, or content aware.
Move, yeah, in Photoshop.
to what? To take the,
You could take that bird up on the top.
well, right, but if I take it out, then, we're,
Not
Move it.
Take it out, you move it, do a content aware move.
oh yeah, content aware move and move the bird then over there. Right, that's
Or-
another possibility.
Yeah,
Is just take that
right.
and just move that over as well.
I do think it looks good cropped out too, because
Yeah,
it
but-
actually makes that other, the
Right,
closer one look bigger and more.
it's a more, right, we've got a story here, and it's a really compact story, and it makes up for the fact that we have a tight crop on the left. We've cropped this, and now it's the bird attacking, it's close.
Yeah.
So I think, again, that's a,
Yeah,
you like
I
the line,
understand.
okay, that was a good point. You have a diagonal line like that.
I just
Yeah.
think it's not Photoshop, but if you go to YouTube, you can bring that bird in.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about, the content-aware move. Yes,
Yeah.
what you do is you just select out the bird and then just move it over, too. But we're
Yeah.
getting into options as well. If you're talking competition, you're not going to be moving things around, as opposed to cropping, where that might look. But again, the point of you like the line here, this diagonal line, it all comes down to, there are many choices here. Interesting. Okay, let's look at ooh.
Well, when you hear people say, ooh, you've got impact covered. It's got a lot of impact here. A lot of sharpness throughout. I like the background blacked out for something like this.
Yeah, what is the stop on that? F14,
14,
0.6 seconds.
yeah, studio shot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't do anything different to this. like I said, I would put a stroke around the whole, around the frame, so when it's projected, you can tell where the edges of your image are, but that's just a choice. And, you know, exposure is really hard to get on something like this, and I think we still have detail in the whitest spots. It still looks like there's enough detail.
Yeah.
Is that person here?
Is the person here? Graham? I don't think Graham's here. Graham Stead. No.
I tried to do something a few years ago, and I've always wanted to go back and try it again, but doing a composite of these and fireworks.
Oh,
And
that,
It'd be, if somebody wants to try that, it's
we
kind
got
of,
July 4th
could
coming
be
up.
fun, yeah.
Yeah, it's the, but you're right, this is, the depth of field is just really makes this. This is, I'm not sure how this is lit, but this is beautiful. Beautiful. Let's see. Okay. Jim McDonald. Is Jim here? Okay.
Not doing the Eagles?
Hmm?
We're skipping over the Eagles?
He gave me 12 pictures
Oh, okay.
and said, choose 3.
Okay,
So I did the, and here we go.
all right. Well, this is somewhere like Hale Farm and the Civil War reenactment. It's a little contrasty. Bright sunny day with bright highlights and dark shadows. So I guess you need to make probably an effort to even things out a little bit. Yeah, that's already a little better.
Lower the saturation of the greens too.
Lower the saturations of the greens a little.
I would do.
Okay. Let me try bring the saturation down a little first.
Yeah, that helps too.
Okay.
It's
Yeah, Bill.
Is there anybody else other than me that when they find these kind of situations where the dynamic range is so high and so contrasty, that you can convert it to black and white and get a little bit better control over that?
And the question was when it was that contrasty and whatnot, converting to black and white, having a little more control. I don't know. Let me, because it seemed to me that the histogram is the histogram, and that if something is, if it's not blown out, we should be able to pull something back in those. But if it is blown out, let's say in the cheeks, would going to black and white, I don't know if you'd have the detail, or you say you might not notice it as much.
That's just my personal experience.
Let's see.
I wonder what it look like in black and white. That'll take the highlights down a little bit.
Let me take the,
Open up the shadows just a touch.
I'm just bringing the blacks down a little, open up the shadows a little more. It's actually an interesting point.
And if you do that in Photoshop, then you can, with the channels, then you can also darken that green and the yellows of the foliage in the background and make it pop out a little bit more.
Right, and actually in this you could do with the HSL becomes a color mapper. And you could take the targeted adjustment tool and work just on the foliage, as Bill says. Actually, that's an excellent point, Bill. You're right. It looks like a little more, it doesn't have that extreme look, you know, with the dynamic range so high.
Right, that's,
And here's when we started. That's working, let's see, we're there. Yeah, that's working with the shadows and highlights there.
You get those?
You're killing me. The question for the people at home was sepia tone. Yeah, to make it look old. And like that's the interesting thing. Bill's point too about black and white is one of the things that you could do this perfectly. Would always kind of look funny to the eye is because we don't associate Civil War with color. Because all the Civil War pictures we see are black and white. So that looks kind of more natural. But the question was sepia, so. The black and white brings out the texture a little more. Too. Let's see. Gee, you guys are killing me. There we go. Okay, there's a little sepia.
Yeah.
So that's the before and after on the sepia. I've had it. But that's it. But it just shows you again, good capture. I mean, in terms of the faces, whatnot, getting down a little, the angle, all of those. Just difficult time of day.
And add a Matthew Brady watermark.
Yeah.
Bring in a dog.
Right. You could vignette this, but yeah, that's Bill. That was a very interesting poem. That's
Use AI to make the soldiers, soldier age, 18 to 30.
make the eye. That's
Way too old.
now you're making fun of it.
The one thing that bothers me right from the start of this, and it's nothing to do with the photographer, is they're also they're like crowded in together, and the one guy's cut off on the one side, and then we have a mug hanging in from somebody else on the left side, and that bothers me, but it's nothing that the photographer did or could do anything really about. It's just odd that they're so crowded together. Yeah.
Yeah, well, they're probably in it's a 240 millimeter, and they're in formation probably, so they're all
Yeah.
bunched
I
up
mean,
there.
they're overlapping one another, so it's
Oh, you could again.
Yeah,
it
you
just
could take
depends.
the
That's an
mug
easy
out.
one to take out,
Yeah.
and you could take out that guy in the back very easily as well. That depends. If you look upon these again, forget competition. You forget that discussion. But if you look upon this as raw material, you go, you recognize a good shot, you take it, and then at home you see what you could, take out the mug, take out this person in the background. You might really like it. Sepia. So it's two ways of looking at this. Like I said, putting competition totally out of the picture too. It's just ways you can make it look the way you want.
Yeah, if you're not shooting for photojournalistic purposes or for a nature competition, you can think of it as art and do anything you want to.
Yeah. Okay, now give you the eagle. I'll choose there we go.
This is probably at Redwood Elementary School is my best guess, and I can't remember the names of these, but they've got them named. Stars and Stripes? I thought that was the parents. Yeah.
What is?
I'm trying to figure out that stray feather.
Yes, that's why I was looking to the next picture.
Yeah, the birds,
He's
both of
trying
them
to
are
figure
looking
it
at
out too.
He's trying to shake it off. It's like, what is this? I was just going to ask you that. I'm not a bird person.
I just know where, I've shot
Actually,
there
let's do
before,
that shot.
I know where they are. And they've got a webcam actually on them. If you go to Redwood Elementary School, you'll find it. Yeah, so maybe that's part of this, is it's a humorous shot with both the birds looking at this feather going, what the heck did you do? So, I mean, I view that as a comical value, It's very hard to shoot this one too without having that background blown out because they're in a very heavily shaded tree.
Yeah.
So you just have to accept that part of it, unless you're extremely good with Photoshop. I mean, I wouldn't try it. But yeah, it's very, the birds are tack sharp. The moment in time is frozen. I don't know if that feather was moving or not, but it's frozen in time. So.
Aperture was
F8.
f8. It was a 500th
500
a second
millimeters.
f8, 500 millimeters. But the exposure is like perfect on this for
Yeah.
that
Mhm.
black sky or the white sky in
And
the
the
back.
birds on our side monitors are very well exposed.
Yeah,
Good
yeah.
shadow detail. What the heck did you
Huh,
do,
what?
buddy?
We'll have to ask Jim about that.
Oh.
I don't know.
Didn't want to lose it.
I do not have an answer to this one. Okay. go to Joe Miko.
This is rather beautiful. I like how the stem is off to the side, and the one group of flowers that is in focus is not centered, slightly to the right of center. So it's nicely framed, I think. I like the background. The bokeh looks good. Not sure you need all of that at the bottom. Right there. Yeah, I think that's stronger.
And maybe, yeah, a little on the left, because this is
Mm-hmm.
hanging out there just a little to get that out.
Yeah, I think that's really strong.
Yeah.
Nice exposure, nice sharpness.
Yeah, because there's enough of that pink in the bottom right, it draws your eye
Yeah.
to there too. That way
Looks
looks like it's sticking its tongue out. Yeah, it does. Okay, very good.
We have a male mallard portrait. Very sharp, got a highlight in the eye, is good. I might have, yeah, he's a little dead center. I don't know if I'd crop some off the left to shift him over and still keep that room looking over on the right.
Crop a little on which side?
That's, yeah, I would take that in a little
The
bit.
left side a
Just-
little?
Yeah. No, I don't know as I see you do it. It's such a tight crop, it's kind of hard to decide what to do with them.
But I agree, because that looks like it gives him a little more room.
Mm-hmm.
It gives the perception of more room off the beak.
Wow, that was a 15th of a second. 146 f4. Yeah, the bokeh's good. If we're going to play with it, I might, select subject and darken the background a little bit, but that might also bring some distractions up where those horizontal lines are down on the right side. I don't know if anybody else has any other ideas.
No? Okay. that's all. Joe Smith. Whoa.
Wow, it's very dramatic. Dramatic lighting, dramatic sky. It's another one. I'm not sure how much I would change it. Might try to bring out a little detail in the real dark areas, but probably not.
I think
Yeah,
we're-
there's, at least on my mind, there's detail in the,
the one thing that I see, and I think this is a Photoshop artifact, is I'm seeing a halo around that brightest spot.
around which
Yeah,
bright?
right where you are.
Yeah.
There's a halo around there that makes
Oh,
me
is there?
think
Yeah.
that he did something with it in Photoshop. Because if you're gonna do Photoshop, you gotta be really good at it, 'cause especially now with AI, we're all gonna be looking for it.
Yeah, your eyes are good. Yeah, it wasn't that, I see what you mean a little bit down there, but it's really fine. But the cloud formation is really,
I suspect that happened when he darkened the sky, probably.
yeah, but it's like those really ominous looking.
Yeah, the cloud makes the picture, and the sun's, looks like sunset striking off of the art piece.
Well, I think that's just it. This picture taken any other time of day wouldn't be the same. It would just be, no, yeah, forget that. It was when the sun was just right, catching that part of it.
Get a nice contrast between the yellow and the blue, too, that contrast in colors.
Yeah.
Yeah, the contrast between the yellow and the blue, the complementary colors. Very nice. Okay. Whoa.
about this picture is the taillights are going blurred out, like they're moving faster, you look at that bike symbol. It emphasizes different speed. You know,
Yeah.
see what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
I think it's really cool.
13 seconds, f/18. 18 millimeter, I think it was 18 millimeter, 12 millimeter lens.
Very cool. Love the sunbursts on the light, street lights. Yeah, very nice.
Again, it's, I've seen pictures where you see the blurred taillights, but I never saw the
Yeah.
bike symbol in the picture. You know what I mean?
With the what in the picture?
With the bike path.
Oh, with the bike path, yes.
I've seen pictures with blurred taillights or headlights, but I've never seen anything with bike path. I think it makes it interesting.
Really adds interest.
I mean, I think it adds to the picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
I agree.
I think he handled this really well. I mean, this is the leading lines, everything. It's beautiful.
It's kind of interesting too. You got the river coming in from one side, you got the road coming in from the other side, and they kind of meet in the center.
Yeah.
I like the blues in some of the buildings.
Yeah.
The blue on the buildings, yeah, this is, yeah, the blues and the red neons, and that green in the middle.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is,
Very cool.
wow. Okay. Okay, I don't know what to,
And it's all sharp.
yes. Yeah, sharp front to back. Yeah, 12 millimeter f/18. It was, yes, 13 seconds. 100, ISO 100, 12 millimeter lens, f/18, 13 seconds.
12 millimeter on a full frame sensor?
Not sure what camera this is.
And the detail in this picture was unbelievable, like you looked at the green and the red, and you looked at the rail.
Yeah, yeah, it's tack sharp front to back. Although there is a thing called, it's right. It's relative sharpness. In other words, the background looks sharp, but if you look closely, it's not really sharp. The front is, that railing is sharp, but if you look closely at the back too, the back's a little out. Now that's only if you're down real close to the monitor, pixel peeping, or I enlarge it. If you're looking at it at a normal viewing distance, it looks perfectly sharp. So it doesn't really matter. So in that case then, you would notice if it wasn't sharp up by this railing or with this bike path or these bricks as well. But a tiny bit of loss of sharpness in the back, your eye doesn't notice as well. So the whole thing appears sharp right through. If you were at the hyperfocal distance, yes, that would be sharp in the back, but I think he probably focused right up close here. But I'm just pixel peeping. Oh, even that's pretty, not bad.
Was for a second.
Yeah, you're right. There there it is. I take that back. That's,
Pretty sharp, yeah.
I bet it's,
In there too, probably from the water.
Yes.
and all that.
yeah, no, that's a good point. Sometimes the compression like this at this thing too might have made it look a little sharp, but you're right, that's, I take that back. That is pretty darn sharp. Sharp front to back. Beautiful. Forget what I said. Okay. John Paganini. Oh,
Another photojournalism shot. I'm thinking the old world looking at the new, kind of. Yeah. There's a lot of interest in here. Exposure's really good, had to be tough here.
yeah, what's the 65
One- ISO 2500.
25,000.
20,000, yes.
Wow. At 25,000, yeah, shooting at 1/250, you're right, you want to stop the motion.
Yeah.
Right, you don't really have a choice. That is nice.
So all that stuff we talk about, noise, forget it. I mean, our current sensors, between the current sensors and our software, I just don't worry about noise that much anymore.
John, did you try running the last few weeks with Lightroom using the AI noise?
I did denoise it, so,
Did you try the Lightroom one, though?
um,
And the reason I say that is because since it went, I think it was 3-4 weeks ago, where Lightroom switched over to an AI noise, which is, because I used to use Topaz denoise, things like that too, but the Lightroom,
I think it was Lightroom, yeah.
yeah, it's really phenomenal because you really don't seem to lose much sharpness at all, and whatever algorithm it's using was pretty
Yeah,
impressive.
it was most obvious on his face, actually,
Yeah.
denoising, because of the high ISO.
Yeah, I like where you were standing too is great. I mean, we get the, the Mennonites looking at the modern world, but then as you start exploring, I like the diagonal of the train coming at us, and look at the reflection of the rails in that plexiglass is really cool. There's a lot of stuff going on here.
Has anybody been to that model train museum?
Where is it?
It's in Middlefield.
Middlefield, Ohio?
It's definitely a photographer's dream.
Huh.
That from here to the end of that wall is all sets. And it's the most intricate detail you can imagine.
But
Yeah, yeah, I didn't play with it too much.
But this is,
Sensitive to taking pictures. No, I mean, train set.
Did the Mennonites care that much? I didn't think the Mennonites cared as much as Amish about taking their picture.
As you can see, was a little sneaky in
this,
this.
but this is a,
But you're right. I was conscious of that.
yeah.
Every community is different. And I have gotten to know one actually an Amish guy out in Middlefield who loves to have his picture taken.
Really?
He's posed for me, and I keep running into him every time I go to something out there.
Well, the new cameras with your articulating screens, you could have your be looking the other way, and also a lot of the cameras now have the silent mode where you can't even hear it click. It's just entirely, and there's kind of no way to even know. But this picture is just, I wouldn't change any. It's just so beautiful. You're right. The angle they're looking at, you could see the trains. And again, kudos to 25,000 ISO because there's nothing else. There's nothing else you could do. Right. It's the only way you get the shot. Really nice.
It's another nice landscape photo with the bridge and a little waterfall, and beautiful trees and so on. It looks, well, I should look at it up there. Looks a little too warm to me.
Yeah.
Other than that, I
Let's
think
see.
it looks
We'll
beautiful.
bring the temperature down a tiny bit. It could be a time of day, too.
Yeah, if it's a golden hour,
Yeah.
yeah. I think better. I think
I mean, you're right. It could
To
have been,
me, I
it
think
could
that
have been
looks
appropriate for the golden hour.
a little better.
Uh,
I mean, it still looks like the golden
Oops,
hour,
where is it?
just a little, what it
Yeah.
reminded me of was bad film in the days where
Yeah.
you had some old film that would have that orange.
Rich, look at that third picture real quick, just to get an idea of that train museum.
the which, look at the,
We don't have to stay on it. That's the type
Oh, wow.
of detail that's in that museum.
and that also is 25,000 ISO, which is really impressive.
Yeah.
A detail at the front of those trains.
That was denoised, that was it's a Canon R5.
Right. But again, you're going to see noise, but we're really blowing it up in detail. At normal viewing things like that, Noise doesn't really jump out at me. Let's see if we, yeah, the noise doesn't really. Beautiful. Shutter speed on that is 2/50th of a second. F5.6, 25,000 ISO. Yeah, it handles the noise well. Ken?
Nice sparrow bird portrait, male English sparrow, I think. Posing very nice. You know, I like the way you had him turn his head. Really, I mean, you know, tack sharp, really, just a really good capture, great bokeh. We got some lines going other, you know, directions to give us some dynamic feel to it. The only thing that you can't fix this is that the tail is so much in line with the one branch, it kind of blends into it. But that's just something you accept when you're photographing birds. It won't make the cover of Audubon because of that, but it's still a very good shot.
It's got a nice transition though.
Mhm. Yeah, you can see it, and it's more obvious on the side screens. You can tell where one picks up and the other one leaves off.
I find it surprising how often the tail lines up.
Nice. Okay. Ah,
Red-winged blackbird again. A nice portrait, nicely exposed, at least on the side monitors you can see detail in the black feathers. It looks a little soft to me though. Even on the monitors.
Yeah, it is a little
bit
soft.
soft.
On the speed was, we don't have EXIF data. Yeah, just gotta, so it's hard to tell whether this was, you know, technique, you know, just a little shake due to slower shutter speed.
I think it might be
think that-
misfocus. If you look at the texture of the lumber looks pretty sharp. I think it just picked the wrong focus.
Think of it.
Could be, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't one focus.
Okay, so it focused on the wood rather than the
Right.
bird.
You know, I've tried to take pictures of these birds, and because of the black, it's very hard to pick up a lot of detail.
Yeah.
Yeah, depends how,
It's a good picture with it. I haven't been able to do that.
it's hard, 'cause it depends how good your eye detect, I've never used eye detection, you know, it depends how good it is, and you're right, sometimes black on black is harder. But again, you know, good technique, before there was eye detection, all the wildlife photographers were using the spot autofocus and just doing a quick one on the eye. You don't have to get it on there, just the head, that type of thing too. But even then, it's sometimes hard because black on black, it might not see enough contrast to really give you a good focus. So these are just difficult.
I've been shooting, like I said, the great blue herons and these red-winged blackbirds at the Menor Marsh for the last couple months, off and on. And usually I've been shooting them in midday and the sun has been sort of behind them more. And this past weekend I went late in the day and the sun was to my left and giving a little more directional light to them, and that made a world of difference.
Yeah.
Too, in terms of seeing
This
the
was taken at
detail.
Lake, and I shot it late in the day when the sun was going down,
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
so the sun would have been behind.
Yeah. And sometimes it is hard, because as Colin was saying too, is the way autofocus works is it depends on some type of contrast. And if the whole bird is black, it's like trying to focus on this background. It would just hunt or focus on the sky. It wouldn't.
It did.
Yeah, so in here,
I had to override the autofocus.
right, either to override or to focus somewhere up where the red meets the black too. But you're right, just trying to get the eye here, it just might not have enough contrast to do it.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Okay, let's see. Lance. Whoa. Is Lance here? There you go. Oh, okay.
Vroom.
Wow.
So I'm trying to figure out here if you used rear or front curtain sink, because I'm seeing blur on both ends of the car. It was rear curtain sink, okay? Very, very artistic. Is that a reflection of the window that we're seeing the grass, or are we seeing through the car?
Seeing through the car.
Okay. So the grass actually, he was moving enough that we see the grass through his face even.
Right.
Yeah. Good example, again, of in-camera creative technique rather than Photoshop. Really good. How fast do you think he was going?
About 2 miles.
2 miles an hour? Okay.
It was
An
1/8
eighth
of
of
a
a
second.
second,
1/8
yeah.
of a second, F19.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it. That's a very nice creative shot. See the blur in the wheels? Yeah. Coleman might want to use this for his class on exposure and motion.
Yeah, I thought it was going by at 50 miles an hour or something, too.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right, when you have your friend driving, you could do a nice setup. Really nice. That grass coming through is really,
You could try a pan shot on this next time. Just
I
move
tried.
the car.
I have, he must have made 30 laps.
Pay for his gas.
We raised the Earth's temperature 2 degrees.
interesting.
the first ones, he's still smiling.
That's right, that's,
Oh, no, that, I totally.
very nice. Okay, that's,
It's a beautiful still life. Nice lighting. It's kind of an unusual perspective directly down on it. You don't see that too often. It's something like this, but it's quite dramatic, and again, looks even better up there. You can see. I was going to say maybe bring out a little bit of detail in the shadows, but it is there on the side monitors. I think that's beautiful.
yeah, you got the shadows perfect on this. This is a hard one to light. Really done nicely. All right. Okay. We got Mick. Mick Russo. Coleman's waiting for Chris. Chris is waiting for Coleman. Chris, I
Oh,
think
this is
you're.
mine? I'm sorry. I was still talking about how good that last image was. Yeah, really good portrait that he would like with his instrument in the picture. The lighting was, it looks like he was probably on stage performing because of the light. Looks like we've got stage lighting on him. But the shadows are open enough in his eyes on the side monitors, I can still see that. What's the EXIF data? 2.8, a 150 lens?
150 lens.
1/25 of a second.
1/25, yeah, 2.8, 1600, yeah, concert.
Yeah,
I mean,
good capture. I like the color, the way his complexion matches his guitar. I think that's part of what makes that image. When I first looked at it, I just liked that he goes together with his instrument.
yeah, and with stage lighting, it's always hard because I'm sure that's a colored light, giving it that, that orange as
And
well.
frequently, I mean, it is what it is as far as where you're
Right.
sitting and.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is 150 millis. So Mick, you were up close then. You weren't that far away.
Oh, it was micro 4/3, double.
No?
Oh, okay, so it was a crop sensor and, yeah. The focus perfect on the eye.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's 150.
So it's comparable to 300.
What, it was a,
150, so it's like a 300, your Olympus? Not your Sony, right, Mick?
yeah, so for that, yeah, with the crop sensor, yeah, shooting up at that, 1/125th of a second, this is, it's really impressive techniques. I don't think you had a tripod, and this is really, right, no tripod, and you look at the sharpness of that, so that's a testament to the camera and your technique there. It's impressive. Okay.
Another tool that we've got these days that really has helped is in most of the mirrorless cameras have in-body image stabilization. It's pretty incredible. I've taken a couple over 1 second shots.
Wow.
Handheld and had them come out sharp, so it's.
Mine's supposed to be 8 stops for stabilization.
Yeah, this
there
is,
you go.
okay. That's interesting.
Wow, that is interesting. It's kind of, want to call it abstract, but with the text in there, sort of, I hesitate to call it abstract with such
Let me
clear
see.
text there. And
There was a wall on the pavilion made by Public Works in 37.
yeah,
I was just impressed with the patterns.
yeah, and the detail is there.
What I did is try to just increase the contrast a little bit to bring up the shadows.
You didn't do any processing on this,
Oh, yeah.
It almost looks like reverse negative processing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a night, right, it almost is like an abstract. Nice.
Yeah,
Okay. Nancy,
Essentially, at 1937 on that plaque, which I thought was kind of interesting.
right, 1937, Works in Progress Administration. Yeah, Bill?
Would it improve that one to off, on the right side off a little bit? You've got that dark pattern in there, and you're up close to it on the left. It's gonna come in just a little, and concentrate right there. And then if you have to crop down from the top a little bit, just to maintain the ratio. Is that an improvement or not? I think it's better, I think it has a better balance.
yeah, I think.
And actually, it puts,
You're
yeah, it
right,
puts
Bill.
that sign more in the upper left rather than towards the middle. And also, I just noticed you have that little white thing up there on top. I agree with you, Bill. Yeah, that,
Yeah,
I just think it has a better balance of feel.
I agree with you, Bill.
yeah. Interesting. Very good. Yeah, we're getting towards the end here. Nancy?
Wow,
Nancy Murinet.
that is just outstanding. That looks like a painting. Everything is sharp, the environment is really cool. I mean, we can see all the horses' heads. Nobody's covering anybody else. Such action and clarity, it's just, wow.
It's not really photographed, it's manipulated now. It's, the Arabian mares and foals are a local farm near here. The, surf is, in California. The, fog behind there is, created.
Wow.
The horses are 4 different photographs. They were
Okay, wait a second. We're gonna stop here because remember the people at home can't hear. This is fascinating. And here, I'm gonna
And
give you the
first I
mic,
gotta tell
Nancy.
you-
Could you describe again from the beginning so the people at home also could?
Yes,
So
this
this-
is total manipulation. This is not actually a photograph. The horses are, 4 different photographs that were taken at an Arabian farm that's local. I took surf when I was in California. The surf and sky are all one picture, but then I added a bunch of fog to it to obscure the background more because I didn't want to have a horizon line. And so that's all just hand manipulated. The horses were running around in mud, so I had to clean them up. So all the mud and everything is off them. How it was hand painted.
I have one thing to say, Nancy, and I think I know at least 1 or 2 people here are going to agree. We are looking for Photoshop instructors.
Yeah, great composite work.
I taught Photoshop for 20 years at Cleveland School of Architecture and Design.
Well, this is unbelievable composite. This is.
So how long did it take you to do all this?
Oh, I never check my time. It's not worth it.
this is-
This one actually went quite quickly, but I've had others that I have done 15 different kinds of pictures trying to get the one I wanted and spent 2 years on. This one was just a week's worth of work.
Wow. I am so impressed because knowing what you told me now,
Yeah.
looking at this closely, I can't tell. I mean, I
There's-
really can't. This looks like a photograph.
Oh, you'd never get those mares all going like
No,
that.
no,
in
I
the
know
woods.
that, but it's that what I'm saying is your technique is just so perfect on it.
Thank you.
It is.
Oh, yeah, and all the splashes on their legs, that's all hand done too.
Yeah, that all looks natural. I was going to ask about the sky and the fog because I figured that was probably done somehow, but the rest of it, wow.
The hardest part was getting the mud off their legs.
Really incredible.
All the brown horses, so.
Very, very interesting.
So everything I submitted today is all
Yeah.
just manipulations. It's not.
And this
actual
is,
true
we have a whole
fog.
creative category that is for stuff like that. That is all stuff like this too. There's a lot of skill involved. Wow, let's see what.
This is called idle gossip. And the chickens are from 2 different farms. Stone Garden has a couple of them, and then a friend's farm is another couple. The background is made up. The ripped area is a part of some wallpaper that is in my bathroom that is just falling apart. The tree limb that they're on, that's down on the ground, that is half made up and half real. None of the sand, dirt, or grass is real. That's all hand painted. And the black scratches, sort of emphasizing the chickens, is hand done. The red hen all the way to the right, that I didn't like her head, so I put a different head on her. And each one of those girls are a different photograph, and then I changed the lighting considerably on them to get them to look right. The shadows behind them, of course, is all hand done because they didn't have that environment at all.
This is phenomenal, but I think this is tremendous for everyone to see the possibilities. Again, because that is a lot of work. This isn't pressing an AI thing, generating it. This was all put together. You guys have, I don't know what to.
Yeah.
Here I am
You know,
doing-
it just, it's beautiful. And my comment has to do with your presentation last week about AI, because here this is without AI.
Yeah,
We're still capable of doing things that are not real. So where do you draw the line in terms of competitions particularly?
right, and that discussion, you know, that Bill brought up, Bill Keaton brought up a very important point too, in terms of whether all the components are yours versus some components, because we have some that are entered there where the backgrounds are taken from another picture, you know, so it just is, they'll be developing rules that you can do whatever things too, so there's a whole gradation there. But this is beautiful. Wow. Okay. We have two more here. We have Valdez?
So we're gonna go from total manipulation to straight out of camera.
Total manipulation is straight out of, okay.
So there's, in most do a little bit of cropping, and that's it. Because I learned photography using Kodachrome, and that was in college, it was very expensive to get it wrong using Kodachrome.
Yes, Kodachrome was expensive, though, right, you got it right the first
And
time.
And Kodak couldn't help you if you didn't get it right.
That's right.
There's all that.
It was unforgiving.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah, the front monitors. Yeah, but I like to underexpose. And there's no saturation added here.
This is all straight,
It's all, yeah.
all, okay, all straight out of camera.
Yeah, it's a beautiful image, particularly on the monitors where you can see the detail in the leaves, and the flowers are perfectly exposed.
What was the setting of this thing? I think the question was? Oh, the settings, oh, I thought you meant the setting. It's a 50 millimeter lens, f2, 1,000th of a second, ISO 200.
Yeah, when we're done looking at the pictures, I have a question for everybody.
Okay. Yeah, on the side monitors, I'm just looking at my monitor in front of me. Is there detail in the pedals, or is it?
Yes, no, it looks really good.
Okay, then that's just my monitor. Good. Any?
So this was all manual focus.
This is all manual focus. Okay, focusing on that, the main flower there, because at f2 you don't have much leeway.
And the question I have for everybody is, guess how much I paid for the lens that took this photo?
The question is, guess how much you paid for
$95.
the lens that took this photo?
Yeah, it's a brand new lens.
A brand new lens.
It wasn't an old, Canon or Minolta lens or anything.
Okay.
What's the maximum aperture? Is it a 1.8,
No, it's an F2.
f2? Probably $90.
$15. No, it was $59. It was one of the
A 50
manual
millimeter
focus,
f2.
Chinese lenses, DT Artisan. And it's wide open.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just amazing what you can do with some of these really, really cheap lenses. And they have mounts for just about everybody. So
Yeah.
This is Micro Four Thirds. So, but they have mounts for full frame and all the APC mounts and all that.
Yeah. Well, wow. Why? You know, because f2, this is wide open. It's really nice. $59. Now I feel bad. Very nice. Let's see.
Wow, is this Marblehead? I don't know which, I don't remember.
Fairport Harbor.
Fairport, yeah,
This is, headlands.
yeah. Very nice black and white. I like the bird there. I don't know why, my head just went to the bird. Kind of gives it some context, yeah. Kind of gives it some context. It's got really, look at the side monitors, it's got good range, good whites and blacks, good detail everywhere. I'm I'm happy with it.
So the sky was the very first week we got the wildfire smoke. So the sky for that.
Oh, it's interesting. Probably that's what you were saying. That's when first we got the wildfire smoke. And it's rather, I don't see a horizon line in the back. Probably right. It's like haze.
Yeah.
Were you on the boardwalk?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's quite a distance, and you
And
managed
I
to,
was shooting a 150 right before Thursday, which is equivalent to a 300.
yeah,
Wow.
so,
The square crop works on this too. I like the,
Now, I've started using square crops quite a bit, and just
everything is it's placed. Everything is placed nicely in this picture. It's just there's almost like a diagonal line going down the left side too. It just
Right,
I like it.
I spent a lot of time cropping this.
Yeah. I'm still back on $59.
This lens was,
Oh,
this lens was,
more expensive?
yeah,
Okay.
about 800.
Oh, okay. I feel better.
This was in 59.
That's very nice. Okay, and we'll end up tonight with Ethan Hogue. Ethan, yeah, there you are. Okay.
I gotta stop looking at the screen. They're so much better up here. Interesting lighting. Almost looks like it was under a spotlight or. Oh,
Was it, Ethan, was it under?
okay. I think the one bright area on that one leaf kind of keeps drawing my eye.
Let me see if I get the bright area on the one leaf.
Yeah, the one.
Okay, let me see if I could locally take that down.
Yeah, that's less,
Just
much
down
less
a little,
distracting.
little less.
And
Wow.
might crop a little bit, yeah, from both left and right, but, yeah, probably from both sides a little bit.
How do you want to crop? More, you're saying more?
Let's get that leaf out the bottom. There you go.
Like that?
So a lot of, the histogram is really on the left, is what happens if we try to increase the exposure.
What happens on what?
Increasing the exposure, that we're pushed underexposed, looking at the histogram.
Okay. Oh, I think a lot of that is the background.
Yeah, you
Let's
might
see.
be able to bring out a little more.
Let me try to bring out a little
detail
more
on the breast of the bird.
in the shadows and the breast of the bird. Let me try locally. See if I could do it. And I'll try increasing the exposure. Oops. Bring up the whites a little. Let's see, masks. So for the breasts, or for the breast of the bird, it brings it up a little.
And it really makes it a very different photo. So again, it's sort of up to the photographer what he likes, but
Right, depends on what you. I would crop a little off the, it's just centered for me.
uh-huh.
Maybe just having it over a little,
Mhm.
it's hard to tell, and that little white thing down below. Like a little more just underneath the foot. That's why
Yeah.
you could always extend the canvas down a little, because that's just, with the stuff that's down there, just dirt,
Yeah,
that would
dirt.
easily extend down, give them a little room. But it's,
And it makes it was a very dramatic image initially. This makes it less dramatic,
Yes,
but more accurate, sort of.
I agree, actually, the way it was originally taken, you know, with more of the shadows there and whatnot too, is a little more dramatic. And like that. Let's try the keeping it dramatic, but just changing the crop a little. That just all depends on your,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm familiar with the bird, they go to have in very frequently. And this one, a darker red than the regular red.
There was some editing in color as well.
What?
Original image very underexposed, naturally. So there's some editing in the color of the bird as well, although we know that DJ made it better. But I really like the very strong.
yeah. Interesting. But I agree, I like it the original way. Let's see the second one here.
Real moody. I mean, obviously the tilt was intended. I think this might be the cover of a book. Yeah, it's got a lot of mood to it, and taking it at that angle, you know, intentionally, also says something. Like the color is like an antique
Yes.
kind of.
Did you
Which-
do that purposely? I was just going to say it has like an 80s kind of look, old film look.
It's, so I started shooting on film, and I was trying to figure out how I could replicate that with a modern camera. So it's a little mix, it's a mix of some film sims and then
Mm-hmm.
something
Yeah.
lighter.
This is Fuji.
Yes,
Yeah, it's a,
Hundreds of films that
yeah, you know, and I really, that's a great thing about Fuji. It has, you know, the thing was they're saying it's got a film simulation, a number of film simulations. But yeah, a number of us noticed that this looks like a film simulation, which is really hard to do otherwise. That it's a really nice, like I said, it's that old look. I was thinking, what do you guys? I just took a little off the left, and just having them look out a little more, rather than I just took something off the. That film simulation is really, you know, that and it's got, you know, at first you'd almost think these are defects. You see all these little dust things all over and whatnot as well too. And you can almost say that goes with the mood. It's like an old, you know, an old film camera. You know, just
Old.
imperfect, a little tilt.
An old slide that's been
Yes,
scanned.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could just picture it. So it's the cover for some kind of a Tom Sawyer
Yeah.
story of some kind.
Yeah, even the soft focus works. So let's do Ethan's third one here. We'll have our last picture that it's interesting. What? Where is this, Ethan?
This is also Botanical Gardens.
Botanical Gardens.
Some better. Get more all the way down.
This has sort of a color tin overlay too. Was that also
I was just thinking that.
intentional?
Same.
Yeah.
The, like, those purplish things.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
that.
Okay.
So that was on purpose.
The only thing I think I might do with this would be to, I think, crop in a little from the left so that those arches aren't so dead center.
And let's see, you have a border around this too. So let me just bring it in on the sides here. So So Coleman would crop in
Yeah.
a little on the left there. I agree.
Yeah, I like that a little better, but again, so,
Yeah, I don't know if the,
seems to bring, well, brings that flower pot on the right, makes it appear closer,
yeah.
the whole image larger.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm on the fence about the purplish tone on this one too, because it's added the purplish tone to the whole bottom as well. And it almost looks like a color cast
Yeah,
rather than a film simulation. But it's just nice placement of the arches. And
yeah. It's beautiful setting, nice capture, nice exposure.
Beautiful. Well, that concludes our pictures. We got everyone in. I thank you all very much for submitting these. And look, we're doing this every 3 months, so we'll be doing it in September again. So the third one or whatnot you had, just resubmit it. We're going to be doing it again. It's a lot of fun. I thank, Coleman and Chris, very much. Thank you for your comments on this. And thank you all again. So I hope this was a learning experience, and also it's a lot of fun. And we'll see you next time.